These dogfighting debriefs will simply be to evaluate multiplayer fights regardless of the outcome. So we'll look at the good points, the bad points, and what can be learned from it. If you have a track with TACFI files, I'm happy to debrief it for you in a video. G'day Virtual Pilots, it's Requiem, and in today's debrief we're going to be flying a Mark 9 Spit. And to start off with, there's an engagement going on up ahead, just under the clouds, and it looks like there's two airplanes, but we can't quite identify who is who yet. And since the engagement doesn't look like it's going to be losing altitude, what we'll plan on doing is continuing our climb in this direction. So hopefully when we get out on the other side above the clouds, we should be in a good position to help. Right, so here we're going to be speeding up the time, this way we can get to that engagement faster. Generally speaking, when you see the engagement, something like this, there's going to be a German airplane up on top, trying to maintain their energy versus an Allied fighter underneath. So here we can see one fighter is now going to be extending away from the other. So now that engagement's over, and this airplane is climbing back up to regain altitude. And this is the one we're going to be focusing on, as this looked like it would have been the enemy airplane. So looking at the smoke trail a little closer, you can see that it looks like that airplane's coming in our direction. So we've got a decent amount of closure against the target. As we get closer, we can start to identify it as a 109. Now from here, I'm pretty sure he's seen us, and right now bus driver's seen a target out to our 7 o'clock or so. So as I'm making my reversal back towards this guy, bus driver's turning off towards our 7 o'clock to look for that target. Now during this turn, the 109's identifying me and deciding whether he wants to come down for an attack. So as he comes back around, I'm going to try and induce him into an attack. I'm going to raise up the nose here, act as if I'm threatening. That forces a reaction out of him to want to move. So now I'll unload and roll towards 109, begin turning into him, and then he has a decent altitude advantage, so he's going to be coming down with a lot of airspeed. So I'm nearing the buffet. As he's coming closer to me, I'm going to kick a bit of right rudder, flip the airplane on its back, and he'll pass underneath me. And I'm just going to roll, try and get the lift vector on him and continue my pull, and I'll force the overshoot. You can see bus driver making that turn away from us as he's looking for that other target. So as the 109 is coming back to the left, this is the point where I raise my nose to try and induce that attack afterwards. So here we can see, ring the nose up. 109 will react to try and get out of my sight, but I begin the unload before I reach the stall. And then while I'm unloading, I'm also performing that roll to keep my roll rate high. I'm turning back into the 109. Now as I'm turning back into the 109, I'm trying to maintain as high G as possible. This way it'll prevent my airspeed accelerating, and this will force a much higher closure against the 109 as he's diving on me. So I'll have a very short window to fire if he gets one, and so then as I snap back around to inverted, this will prevent him getting a shot altogether. So here you see he's pulling about 4 Gs, and he's still going downhill and accelerating, so that G load is only getting higher and higher. Since my airspeed is much lower, and my vertical speed ends up being much lower because of that snap to inverted, he won't be able to keep up and he'll overshoot past me. And as he passes, just going to roll, try and get that lift vector on, and then pull to fall in behind him as he overshoots. So now the 109 doesn't have the altitude advantage or position advantage anymore, so he'll just bug out. So he won't be a factor. But while I'm not necessarily pointed directly at him in pure pursuit trying to follow him, just offsetting, this way it will allow him to get a lot of separation, and that way he can just exit the area as fast as possible. So bus driver gives his position to my right 5 o'clock, and when he does that I can see some flak down there. So we have a single target. Since that's a friendly target area, we know the flak is going to be shooting at enemy airplanes. So I call out that I've seen that target, and we'll make that turn in that general direction. We're going to follow this target and see what he does. So he's disappearing under the cloud, but I know he's going to be appearing at some point because it's only a very small window of cloud. So I'll have a quick check to make sure that 109 isn't coming back. And we'll try and regain the guy down low. So there he is in the bottom corner. So we'll roll back towards him as he's going to the right, and we'll begin our final part of the intercept. So here we'll see he's doing a gentle climbing right hand turn. When you see a gentle turn like this, it's usually an indicator that they see a target and they're getting ready to be in position so they can make an attack. Now Now as I get closer, we'll see he increases his turn rate, but not enough as if it's trying to avoid me. So he's getting ready to dive, and as we can see with my shots, they've all missed. But his behaviour hasn't changed, so he doesn't know I'm here. So in this case, I can actually take my time in this dive, make sure I'm in a good position before I fire. That way I can ensure getting some hits. So here we see the 1 in iron climbs and gets ready to make his attack. And as we come in from behind, all those shots will miss. But as we saw, that behaviour doesn't change, so that's a very good indicator that you can now take your time and get yourself in the right position before you make the shot. So we basically hit him simultaneously as he hits his target, and then we continue following him down. So as we're following him downhill, I'm happy to stay in this position and keep shooting. Since we're over a friendly target area, it doesn't really matter if I'm down low here, so I'm happy to just follow him down and try and shoot him before he can escape. But if I was in enemy territory, I definitely wouldn't follow him down after hitting him like this. I would just turn around and get my altitude again. So as we get the final burst and take his wing off, we're going to have a lot of excess airspeed, so I'm just going to bring it up into an Immelman, so I can try and regain as much altitude as possible. While I'm doing that though, bus driver calls out a couple of contacts on my right 5 o'clock. So I want to try and get myself back to level flight and look at what those targets are. As I'm unloading to gain airspeed just in case they're enemy, we can see their PE2s, so there's no real threat there. So now it's a matter of us regaining our position and rejoining formation for the next portion of the sortie. So now we're back up at altitude in formation, doing our patrol and our scan for bandits. So we're going out to right 1 o'clock. You can see there's a single target. So I will call it out by saying tally single right 1 o'clock slightly low, going left to right. Bus driver sees that as well, but he also sees an extra pair out behind that single. So zooming in, we can see the pair out the back. So from this point, we're not going to continue the intercept against the single. Instead, we're going to now begin our intercept against that pair that we saw at the back. Now as we get closer, we can see that that pair is actually flying a pretty close formation. So in essence, they're almost flying as a single airplane without any real mutual support. This is because the number 2 in the formation has to work very hard to stay close by in position to number 1. So this is the one I'm going to be targeting first, as he's focused on 1 and won't be providing a good lookout. So as we're in our position, we'll begin our attack out of the sun against the number 2. This will make us very difficult to spot. So as we close in, there's still no change in their behaviour, so we know they haven't seen us. We can start firing and kill him. We can transition into attacking number 1. We're currently in his blind spot, so it'll be hard to see. Bus driver's going to pass out in front, which ends up distracting number 1 as I'm shooting. He rolls back towards bus driver, then realises that I'm shooting at him. Ends up getting in a bit of a stall situation. I ran out of cannon, and then I just finish him off with the machine guns. This is actually a pretty good example of why you don't want to be flying close formation in a combat area, because it just drains too much situational awareness. This allows me to come in unobserved and making that shot on the first guy. And then as we move into the next scene, here we see bus driver getting ready to make his attack, which is who that 1 in iron is currently looking at, because he won't see me in his blind spot. So as bus driver comes along and passes through, 1 in iron reverses to go after him, and then sees me shooting at him, but by then it's too late to do anything about it. So as we get the kill here, I'm going to continue rolling and follow the 1 in iron briefly. It's just long enough to evaluate its behaviour, and so by that I can tell the pilot is dead. And since all I'm left with now is just the machine guns, it's a pretty easy decision to return to the base and re-arm for more ammo. Thanks for watching today's Dogfighting Debrief. If you enjoyed it, I hope you can be a subscriber and share this with your friends. Plus, if you have any thoughts or critiques about it, you can also leave a comment to help start a discussion. Until next time though, remember to check your 6.